Okay, today on the show, I'm joined by Sarah Ty. Sarah's originally from Houston, Texas. She has three kids. Two are older and live in the States, and her 4-year-old lives with her and her husband in London. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's exciting. I'm excited to have you here. You have a topic that I think many families who are traveling have struggled with. And I'm so excited that you came on the show to share your experiences with others. So first, I want to so what we're going to talk about is Sarah has actually two children, right? Two children with severe food allergies. And we're going to touch on that because I know that, like Sarah at the beginning, that kept her from traveling at the very beginning. Now she's totally opposite and does travel with her daughters. So we're going to get down into that. Before we do that, though, I thought it would be fun to a lot of people love London. So real quick, before we start getting into the food allergies, I just thought we'd start with what life is like in London, since that's such a popular place for Americans to travel to as well. What's it like out there?
It is a really, really, really fun place to live. Before I moved to London, I had never vacationed here. I had never had an inkling that I would ever move to Europe, live in London. When I landed, we moved in 2020, so it was at the start of the pandemic, and
Uh-huh.
it was a lockdown situation here. But once the country opened back up, I was able to explore. I tell my husband, we talk about this every weekend. What are we gonna do? Because there is so much to explore here. Right
Just
now,
right in London? Just right in London, there's that much to explore?
we live in Surrey, so we're just southwest of London. We're in the countryside, as they call it. And we take the train into the city. We'll take the train out to York or to Bath, and we play tourists while we're here. We'll go to the National Trust and see the old castles. We'll go to the parks, and they have the best gardens here. It's a very, very vibrant place to live. And the fact that it's easy to use the train, we just walk to the station and we're in London in, I don't know, 30 minutes. It's so convenient, and we're very lucky to be able to call this home. We did need to get used to driving on the other side of the road and using
I
a
love that. You didn't say
roundabout.
wrong side. You said other side. See, I love that.
It is the other side. So looking left versus right first was it's just a different way of doing things. And even though English is spoken here, there are a lot of fun nicknames for things that I just didn't know whenever I moved here. And just the food is fresh. We go to a butcher shop and a bakery, and it's kind of silly to say that, but in Houston, there's not a lot of that. It's big,
Yep.
humongous grocery stores, and the scale of things here is much smaller, and it's slower, and it's just the pace of life. There's a lot going on, like theaters. We can just go down to the theater and see the West End, and when that's something that we love to do on the weekends. It's a great place, I say, to stay curious.
Okay.
I look at the wall in my yard and I think, why is that so old? Like, what is that wall seeing? It's older than me. I mean, it's a wonderful place to be, and I'm very thankful that we've had such a great experience with the community that we're in, and just being able to just have fun here.
And now I know the only kind of downside of living out there is the expense, right? It's a
Oh
more
yeah.
expensive place to live.
The cost of living here is substantially more than Houston, Texas. Um, there is a cost of living crisis here. A lot of people cannot afford to buy a house or to rent, and it just keeps rising. So that is a concern for everybody that lives here. So that is a downside. I mean, the
Yeah.
other downside would be being so far away from family. We are a 13-hour flight back to my other kids.
Yeah, which I know would be hard. I know you said they do come to visit you and you go to visit them, but it's still not easy.
I mean, we FaceTime everyone every day. You know,
Wow, that's
my
really good.
my 4-year-old knows her grandparents because of FaceTime. So it's been,
Technology, the beauty of technology. Does that help or make it harder though?
I mean, it depends on when they call because we're 6 hours ahead of everybody. So I don't really talk to America until afternoon. It's usually about 2 o'clock that America starts to call.
Yeah.
And that's dinner time for us. So usually when I'm cooking dinner or we're eating dinner, we've got a couple phones up, and we have a grandma, and we have the siblings, and we have, great grandma on the phone, and it's just like a family dinner, just different.
That's really nice that you guys have done that. That's really nice. Now, for those of you who are curious, Sarah, they're there because they transferred for Sarah's husband's work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what brought them to London. And that's how they're probably, because I imagine when you transfer, then you still get paid your American wage versus the English wage, or how's that?
No, I mean, we get paid in the British pound. So
Okay. I didn't know if it was an American company you're working for or an English company you're working for. So
no, well, my husband's company is global, headquartered out of Houston, Texas, but his office is here in the UK. And so since we are on visas here, we get paid in the British pound.
Got it. No, that makes sense. I was just thinking of like the expense and how you guys were able to do it. So,
well, yeah, I mean, like we always worry about the exchange rate because we have 2 adult children in America, and one of them is in American University, and that is not free. So we're all you do have to worry about exchange rates and how those cookies are crumbling or not. So we
that's
do
a good point.
we do have to pay attention to the exchange rates if we're in 2 different countries.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about your kids. Because your kids, how old are your kids again? I know you have your 4-year-old with you, and how old are your 2 older kids?
Okay, so my oldest son is 21, and he lives in Austin, Texas on his own. I've got a 19-year-old daughter, and she lives in Chicago. She goes to university in Chicago. And then we've got my youngest child, who is 4, who lives with us.
Okay. And I know your 21-year-old son, he's the one that has severe allergies as well, correct?
Yeah, he was my first child. And when he was young, he presented with very severe allergic reactions very early. And I mean, that was 2002. And allergies weren't really talked about. I was in Louisiana at the time, and it was just like, okay, let's go to the doctor and see why you're having a reaction to whatever you ate.
Okay. And I know, though, we talked about how it's evolved a lot since your son had allergies versus your daughter who has allergies. So how has it evolved, which has led you to being able to travel?
Yeah, so whenever he was little, we weren't doing a lot of traveling, and when I say travel, I mean like going out for the day with him meant making sure that we did not have any contact with any of his allergens. And at the restaurants, it was really hard to accommodate him. So we just had to, like pack, lunches, but we didn't go many places. I mean, in Louisiana, we evacuated for hurricanes. So that was just the traveling that we did. And it sounds silly to just say that out loud, but we would pack ice chests and just use cold food and just try to find things that he wasn't allergic to. So it didn't make it easy to travel with him because allergies weren't as widely spoken about in 2002.
Yeah, and I don't think it sounds silly at all. I imagine there's a lot of parents who are in the same situation. It's just safer, right? As far as you're aware, just bring your own things, and you don't have to worry about the allergens and everything that he could be eating or your kids could be eating. So it makes sense. But what has changed? Because I know you travel now with your daughter, and we'll get into that, but what has changed?
Well, when he was young, it was straight avoidance. It was not ever there wasn't an opportunity to say test him and have him try the foods, and if it was okay, maybe eat the foods. It was, we've determined that you're allergic to it, so you should avoid this for the rest of your life. That's
what the doctors would say, correct?
That's what the doctors would say. Now with my youngest daughter, she was having rashes when she was I don't know, let's say 4 months old. She started to get rashes, and we cut dairy out of my diet because I was breastfeeding her, and the rash went away slowly after 2 months. And at 6 months, she was tested, and we found out that she was highly allergic to dairy, egg, sesame. I mean, we've got a list of things that she's allergic to, but let me get back to the point. Now that she's 4, she has been able to have the test in the doctor's office, and the doctor has said, okay, I see that you're not so allergic to it. We're going to try to eat it. And that is oral immunotherapy, OIT. So what she does is she eats a determined amount of the food. And if she can handle that amount, then it's in her diet. Then she's eating it, and it's considered safe for her.
Okay, so just to clarify, so before, like when your son, they didn't necessarily have the same test. Is that correct? Like that show you kind of the range of how allergic you are to these things. Am I understanding it correctly?
I'm not a doctor, but as an allergy mom, they prick you with your allergen. Back in 2002, they would prick him on his back. It was a big panel. Yes. And then you wait 20, 30 minutes, and then you measure the reaction. Then they print out a piece of paper and they hand it to you and say, you're allergic to these things based on the skin test you just had. Stay away from them. Right?
Okay.
He's 21 now. He still has allergy tests throughout his life, but he's still avoiding these foods. Whereas my daughter, the way that they're doing it now is they test her and they say, we would like to introduce this into her diet based on, I'm just going to say circle, because that's what it looks like. Have you ever seen a hive?
Yeah.
A hive is a circle. So they measure the circle. They measure the whatever they're measuring on the circle tells them it could probably be eaten. We could try to eat it. And so what we've done is we've done challenges now, and that's what they're called. They're called food challenges. And if she can handle what she's been given, then she passed it. You know, like egg, for instance. She was always allergic to egg until, let's say, we've been doing egg for about 3 months now. Baked egg in her diet. So you go from 1/20th of a piece of cake all the way up to a scrambled egg. And by the time you get to scrambled egg, you're safe and you can have it in your diet now. And when we go out and we travel, it's not going to be a concern anymore if there's egg in a food in Greece. It's not going to be a concern if there's egg in a pasta in Italy, you know. And that's where we come back to traveling, is being able to get some leeway in the allergen world, and we get a little more freedom every time we do a food challenge, because that's all it is. It's food freedom. That's what we need to have.
Yeah.
And for her, she has the option now because we're in 2023 and those food challenges are available to her. You know, that's where we're at with the doctors and in the hospitals and the allergy world, where I am, at least in England. At our allergists, that's where we're at.
And that's opened up a whole bunch of doors for you guys, I imagine.
Well, it goes from not knowing and avoiding and being in the dark to opening the door a little bit more and being able to have more food freedom for her.
Yeah. And so now, is it too late for your son? Can he do the same thing, like take the same test that your daughter's taken and then introduce him back, or is it too late for him?
That's a question that I would like to tackle once we're back in the U.S. I mean, he's 21. I can't necessarily call a doctor and talk to a doctor about him. He has to self-advocate at this point. And he loves to cook, and he eats cleaner than everyone I know, because he is allergic to corn and he is allergic to soy.
Oh,
and
those are
he's
in
allergic
everything.
to carrots and celery and shellfish and salmon and tuna.
Oh,
And
wow.
being allergic to corn in America is hard.
Yeah, because we use
It's got a
corn
lot
base
of
for everything, don't we?
it,
To fill it,
it's the
everything.
basis of American food. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. But for him, I don't know what the cards hold. You know, like who knows? There could be medical developments that say, yeah, we can do something for you, but we don't. I don't know.
But that's a good point to kind of remind parents if they have kids while they're younger, start doing it now while they're younger so that you can open up these opportunities for you to travel and what did you call it again? The
Food
food it
freedom.
was food freedom. Yeah, but I think it's a great kind of reminder that you did it while you were young and then it's opened the doors for your daughter to have more food freedom and for all of you when you travel. So,
Well, I think most parents, when their kid starts to have an allergic reaction, that's what triggers your your path down the allergy trail. And that
yeah,
most of the time it happens when you're young. But I mean, there are people that develop allergies in their teens, and there's developments of allergies as
good point.
adults.
Yeah.
So this isn't just a little kid issue. This is, you could just get it. It just happens,
That's a
unfortunately.
good point. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay, now what I love, you have so many wonderful tips for everything you've kind of learned. And I think it can apply, all your tips as we go through them can apply to picky eaters as well, because I know a lot of parents have kids who are picky eaters. So I think all your tips can apply to kids with allergies or picky eaters. So let's start going through them because you have quite a lot of them. Um, so I know one of the things you brought up is that it's easier traveling when they have allergies before they're two.
Well, okay. I say too, but before you're eating a lot of food, before your kid wants a variety of something, travel. Strap them
Yeah.
to you and just get on the plane and go, because it may seem harder because they're strapped to you and you're pushing something, but diapers are used worldwide. So don't travel with I don't I've never traveled with diapers.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, for me, we traveled a lot we traveled when she was 2 months old. So it was like it got harder once she wanted a hot meal. So
And that's a good reminder because you're either breastfeeding or bottle feeding, or like you said, there's not that variety, so it's a lot easier to feed your child. So I think that's a great tip. Now, one of the things that I know you loved, and I know you're going to show it for our viewers who are going to watch us, is the heated box, which I had never heard of. I know you had never heard of it before you discovered it. So
no, we were traveling back and forth from the UK to Houston. We moved. Let me backtrack. We started internationally traveling with our youngest daughter when she was about 2 months, and
mhm,
she didn't require any hot food. I traveled with pouches and my body basically.
mhm,
And when we were coming back at about 19 months, she was starting to want food, and I would ask the flight attendants to help me heat her food up, because what 19-month-old wants cold anything? Like my daughter just wasn't a cold food kind of girl. And it was hit and miss. She's 4 now, so in between 19 months and 4, I was just taking a chance on a flight attendant saying, yes, I'll heat this food up, because of her allergies. She can't have airplane food. She can't
mhm.
just go into a restaurant and eat food. I don't. It's me. I don't trust anybody to feed her, and I don't have to pre-plan these situations. So I one day was researching traveling to Greece. We had a vacation to Crete coming up, and I was like, okay, there has to be a better way. And I saw someone say heated lunchbox. And I looked at my husband and I was like, why have we not thought about this yet? Why has this not come into our vocabulary, our thoughts? Like, why have we not thought about a heated lunchbox? And that has changed our game for traveling with an allergic kid, or maybe a picky eater who refuses to eat airplane food. I don't know. But we travel with a heated lunchbox everywhere.
Okay, and what's the name of that box again? I know you have it there with you.
Oh, well, we travel with two. So the UK,
Oh.
the one that we have in the UK is called a Heats box. So HEATS, Heats box. And it comes with a plug, or they have a version that has a battery in it.
Okay.
The American box that we bought is called HotBento, and that has a battery pack in it, or you can plug it in and charge it. I'll show the. Sorry, let's see. The HotBento is okay. So it's literally just, let's see. Here's the lid, right? It's
Yeah.
like your Tupperware, and then this is the body.
Okay.
Right.
So mainly like a small little igloo type of box. Yeah.
Not very big. I mean, it's not tiny, but this is the battery. You punch it and it starts heating the food. There's no water involved. I don't need to worry about spilling things or pouring things on the airplane or the train or the bus or the car. If my daughter gets hungry, I push the button and like 10 minutes later she's got hot food.
So does it keep it cold until you heat it up?
If you put it in there cold, it stays pretty cold.
Okay, so is that what you tend to put it in when it's cold, and then when she's ready to eat, you just hit the button and then it heats it up?
Yes.
Like a microwave?
Yeah, and then, I mean, it comes like with an insulated lunchbox cover. It is like a portable, it's like a portable microwave, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it. Very neat. Very neat. So for anybody who doesn't have that, sounds like something that you need to get right away. Now, I know some of your other tips. You talk about researching food options prior to traveling. What do you tend to research?
So before we, we're sitting around thinking, okay, we want to take a vacation to, I don't know, where did we go last? Tenerife. That was our last vacation, was Tenerife. I Googled family resorts. That was my first Google. And I looked at the resorts and I thought, okay, who can do all inclusive? Because my two things that I look for in a hotel are either a kitchen, some sort of kitchen, some sort of way to prepare food for my daughter, and or all inclusive, or a lot of restaurants that have different options. That's what I look for.
Okay.
I look for a hospital, because why not? It's a good thing to know. We've never used it, but I would like to know in an emergency where it is or who to call. What's the number? Because, different countries have different emergency numbers. I look for grocery stores, because in our case, kids will not eat everything. Even my allergic daughter is picky. So sometimes she just wants a plain hamburger, or she wants plain pasta, or she wants spaghetti or fried rice. I don't know what she's asking for. If where we're at can't offer it, I will go and I will make it myself. You know what I mean? So we look for hospitals, grocery stores. I look for restaurants because I love to eat. My husband loves to eat. Before we had our allergic child, we ate everywhere. Houston is one of the best food cities I have ever visited. You can get any type of food you want, and it's going to be delicious. So, whenever I visit a place, I want to taste the place that I'm visiting. It warms my heart. It makes me think, okay, well, like, this is what this place is about. I'm from Louisiana. I love food. We have the best food. That's my vote. So
I agree.
I just love to eat. And with our daughter, it makes it trickier because we have to say, okay, the restaurant that we want, can they feed her? So I will get online and I will look at restaurants. And then once I know kind of where I want to eat, I'll make calls and I'll say, okay, I've got a daughter with these allergies. Can you accommodate her? Or are you okay if I bring food from home, food from the hotel, and if she eats on her own? And that's a very easy conversation. And that's what we do. Other than that, like what goes in our bag is the heated lunch boxes. That's the day of bag. I'm cooking the day before. I'm putting the food in the fridge, and then we're getting it into the the carry-on. in airports do not care about the food. I've never had a problem getting her food in. As long as I'm not bringing soup, it's okay to bring like prepared food. We've been to many countries and not had any problem. Her medical bag, we travel with an allergy translation card. So it's called Equal Eats. And what Equal Eats does is they've got 50 different languages right now. And you order, like our last trip was Tenerife. So we got a card that was both in Spanish and in English. And it will declare the allergies. And it's a chef's card. So it'll say, can you bring this to the kitchen and make sure the chef knows that these are the allergens that the person has. So
yeah, I think that's great because it just spells it out for you, for the chef, right?
Yeah, so you get a digital copy that you can put on your phone, and you have a hard copy, and it's just, I'll show you what it looks like. It's the size of a credit card. So this was our Greek Equal Eats card.
Wow. Yeah. It has, so it's like the size of a business credit card, and just has all the different allergies on there, which is wonderful.
And they come very fast. So if you're planning your trip in a week, it'll be with you.
Now you said there's Equal Eats, and then I think there's Allergy Eats as well, right? There's. I thought you mentioned Allergy Eats as well, but if it's just Equal Eats, that's fine.
The Equal Eats card, that's just the allergy translation card.
Got it.
I travel with medicine for her, so we've always got the medical bag. It's just an insulated medical bag because we travel with EpiPens, epinephrine for her. That's an emergency rescue. And that can't be at a high temperature or a really low temperature. I also travel with mini medicine bottles because, I don't know, let's talk America right now. Zyrtec. You've got a big bottle of Zyrtec. That's not a good thing to go through security with. They're going to take it out. They're going to test it. It's going to take time. I've got mini medicine, and I'm researching if that medicine's available in my destination country. So if I need more, I can go get it at the grocery store. I'm not going to travel with it if I don't have to. I'm a big proponent of not traveling with more than I need to. I don't want to carry it around. So I travel with the mini medicine bottles, and that was allergylifestyle.uk. That maybe was that. I can show you our bag if you want, but it's just a small medical bag. So that's what we travel with. And as far as snacks go, and this can be applicable for even grown-ups, if you want your granola bar that you like every morning, you're going to pack it. So we pack her favorites, her favorite dry goods. If we've got a kitchenette, I make a grocery list before I go, and then I will grocery shop when we land.
So you don't have any issues bringing your dry goods across countries? Because I'm always worried what I can and can't bring.
I'll research it before I pack it, but I haven't run into any problems.
Okay. No, that's good to know as well. And then one thing I want to point out, though, is you highlighted it, but it's at the flight attendant's discretion whether or not they'll heat up something for you. So you can't rely on that, right?
No, you can't rely on that at all.
Yeah, which I didn't know. I would just think, why wouldn't they heat it up? But you've been told, I mean, you've had experiences where they won't heat it up for you. So it's something that's...
I mean, it's their airplane, and I don't know what their microwave looks like. So, I mean, I wouldn't assume that they would, but it's just not something that I had thought about before we flew with her and needed that. So once we needed it, it was like, okay, we need to find a solution to this fast.
Okay. Now, I know you make a packing list. You mentioned the packing list as well. You say don't overdo it with that packing list. What's your experience been? What do you mean by that?
Well, it was more food based. I was packing food that I could buy there.
Okay. It's like there's no need to do that. Got it.
Yeah, it's like we're all people. We eat a lot of the same things. The medicine, the medicine, as far as the experience I've had, I haven't ever had a trouble finding allergy medicine for her if we needed it at our destinations.
Okay.
But like I said, there's a lot of Googling that happens before I make that determination.
Well, and I know you had also said, you talked about the all-inclusive, but You weren't even sure you could even do that. Wasn't that fairly recent that you discovered, oh wait, I can go to an all inclusive?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because when we were in Tenerife, my husband dreams about just going on a vacation and not cooking because we cook a lot for her, and he's like, let's just try a resort. Let's try a lay around vacation where you're not cooking. I think people can feed her. They can feed us. And I was like, okay, that's scary. That is the scariest part
I
of
can see
traveling
that. Yeah.
is the unknown for her. And, I'm comfortable where I am now, and that's in the UK. I know how it works. I hate to say it, but I'm not as comfortable in America anymore because we didn't live there with her for very long. So even for me, traveling abroad includes America. As an American, that's very odd to me. But it's like whenever we have to place trust in, a hotel to feed her safely, that's a big deal for me. So we did do the all inclusive at our last vacation. And it was funny because I was calling hotels and asking them about feeding her, and they wouldn't really talk to me about it. They said, book first. As long as you book first, then we will talk to you. And that was frustrating for me, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I can't change it. So I said, okay, we can cancel if we want to. If I don't feel comfortable, I'll just cancel. I'll book 3 if I need to. So we booked our vacation. We chose all inclusive, and I talked to the kitchen and the customer manager, and they said, we're going to make her an allergy card for the kitchen, and it's on your profile. So every time you go and you ring in, for your meal, they're going to see that. So when we got there, they had made a hotel version of that card, like the Equal Eats card that I talked about. They had made one, the hotel made one for her. And we checked in, we put our bags in our room, and we went straight to the restaurants and talked to the kitchen staff. And at this hotel, it was like a buffet. You go in, you pick your food, and the chef walked around with us and showed us what was safe.
Wow.
And we did that every morning, every meal. They showed us what was safe, and they said, we'll cook for you, just tell us what you want ahead of time. And we did that a couple times. And it's funny enough because I had brought a portable hob. I had brought an Instant Pot in my suitcase. I mean, if someone's opening my suitcase, they're going to be very confused about what all this stuff is. But I had brought a pot. I brought a pan. I was like, okay, we're going to stay in the hotel, but I'm not too sure about it. My husband's just shaking his head at me. He's a very patient man, but I didn't use any of it. The room that we got had a hob in it. It had a microwave, and it had a mini fridge. And she ate like everyone else.
And that must have felt good for everybody. You guys didn't have to cook, but she got to eat with other people like she was, just a normal girl just enjoying a meal with her family.
Yeah, it was very liberating. That doesn't mean I was comfortable. I mean, I was still on guard. I still brought the medical bag. We had the EpiPen and the cetirizine, and I was ready in case she needed it. But she didn't need it, and I'm thankful that we took that trip and tried it because I know it can be done now.
Yeah, and that kind of gave you that. I'm sure the more you do it, then the better you'll feel about doing it.
Well, yeah, and that's what it was. Before we went out of the country, we would take day trips into London, and we would eat at places, and we would talk to them about her allergies. And it's free to ask someone if they can feed you, say, I have these allergies. Is there anything I can eat? And that is a completely free conversation. And it's something that if you have a child with allergies, if you have allergies, there's no embarrassment involved. It's just safeguarding your health and your family's health. So,
well, and I mean, as you've explained, like people shouldn't be afraid to access the kitchens. I know, I mean, that I'm sure gave you some peace of mind as well. Talk to the kitchen staff, access the kitchen, see where your kids their food's going to be cooked. I'm sure that help to give you some peace of mind, right?
Yeah, we never really like saw the kitchen, but when we got there, I said, "Can I talk to the chef?" And this wasn't at prime dinner, it wasn't at lunch, it wasn't at the rush hours, it was in between. I was like, "I'd like to talk to the chef." And even when we eat out now in London, let's just say you're an American and you're coming here with an allergy to London, usually whenever you are seated, the first thing they say is, "Does anyone at the table have allergies?" They'll ask you, and they will tell you if they can serve you or not, and what kind of food is safe, and what would be your options. And then whenever we're out and we haven't made reservations, myself or my husband will pop in and say, get our Equal Eats card and say, "These are the allergies we have. Can we eat here?" And then the manager is usually the one that takes care of our table.
That's great. Now I know though, you said, you're in London now. You're in England now, so you wouldn't necessarily feel as comfortable in the States, because I know you said that the EU standards for food labeling and for wait staff are much higher, like in London, and you feel safer there than you do in your own home country, right?
Well, yeah, the EU passed a higher standard of allergens. Their laws are tighter than they are in America. In America, sesame just got added to the top. Now it's top 9 allergens that manufacturers have to declare as may contain, does contain. They have to say it. So a lot of companies now are just adding sesame flour in so they don't have to risk cross contamination. It's just there, right?
Okay.
It's a big problem for people who have a sesame allergy or a sesame allergy child. It's very frustrating. Here, there are 14 allergens that are considered dangerous, and they're listed. So they have to be declared on all of the prepackaged goods, all the prepared goods. So on every menu, on every gelato stand, there's usually an allergen portion. So we've been to Spain, we've been to Greece, we've been to France. They're all listed. So, but when I go back to America, it's like, what? Allergies?
But that's a good reason for people to travel to at least to Europe, because that'll be easier for them, just because of the labeling.
Yeah, I'm not anti-America. Don't take the wrong way. It's just just a breath of fresh air when you're traveling with an allergic child to see it listed, because I don't have to go ask a person and wait, and it's just easier when I see it listed.
Definitely. Okay. Now I know another tip you have is to teach your kids how to eat safe. Any tricks for what you've how you've taught your daughter, or what you've taught her?
It's a daily thing for her. She's 4, so she just started school and she only goes half days. And the reason we put her in a half day is because she doesn't have to have lunch at school with everybody else. Because when she started school, she couldn't say, "My throat hurts. I don't feel good. I'm not okay. I'm itchy." She had no awareness for that. So we quickly name, like if she's itching, I'll say, "Oh, you're itching." So she knows that's what's happening to her body. Or I talk a lot about cow milk. I'll say, "You cannot have dairy. You cannot have cow milk," because she loves a hamburger. She can have a cow, but she cannot have cow milk, and she can't have dairy.
Got it. Yeah.
I taught her dairy is scary, and she knows now to stay calm if she's having an allergic reaction. But it's hard because like she couldn't eat eggs, so I kept telling her she was allergic to eggs, but now we're eating eggs. So it's a fun thing when you have to reintroduce the food that you thought you were allergic to. But we'll make sure to show her that she's allergic, and she knows to say, don't feed me. She can't take food from anyone but us and her teachers right now. And kids share food, and I have to daily teach her we do not share food. We do not share food. Even at home, we don't share food because it's a practice I want her to get used to. We're not sharing
That's
food.
smart. That's smart. And I love that you're helping her identify what she's feeling so that she can get better at communicating when she's having a reaction.
Well, that's even with emotions. Kids need to know what
Yeah.
that emotion is or what that reaction is. So I do it everywhere. We're naming everything.
That's great. And I know one of your final tips was that you find a lot of Facebook groups helpful, right?
Yeah, I do. I will look at FAIR in America. That's the allergy community, the American allergy community. I will look at those sources, but I also have joined a lot of support groups for allergy travels. Or, I mean, allergy travels is a great one because it's parents, adults who are traveling with allergies, and we're talking about food in different countries. We're talking about tips. We're talking about restaurants. So there's a lot of, just communication between those communities.
Is that what it's called? It's the group itself is called Allergy Travels?
Yeah, it's called Allergy
Okay.
Travels.
Okay,
And
great.
Equal Eats has different forums. Like they'll say, okay, we've got a chef with allergies, we've got a parent, we've got the company, and we'll have, discussions on traveling with food allergies. And it's good because it's me and you talking, and we're both dealing with this, and this is our experience, and this is our hope, and this is what we've done. So we're helping each other to travel and see the world like a normal person.
No, that's wonderful. Wonderful tips. I know a lot of parents will really appreciate everything you've said. So I will make sure to put the name of like the boxes and the Allergy Eats and the Facebook groups in the episode details. So I'll make sure Sarah's provided all of that to me, which will be really helpful. As we wrap it up, I mean, what if you could sum it up, what gave you the courage to travel to other countries? What gave you that courage?
I came to the conclusion that people all over the world have allergies. And that gave me peace to know that it wasn't just us. And I built up my confidence going out for the day. And the more that I did it and the more that we did it as a family, the easier it got.
Yeah,
And
you did a lot of day trips. You mean like you did a lot of like little day excursions where you'd have to like what do you mean? Sorry, what did you do on these day trips? Like you would try new places or what would you do? How did that give you courage?
I don't know, just you go out for the day. We're out for like 7 hours out of our
Okay.
house. We're out of our comfort zone. We're out of our kitchen. We're eating at a restaurant. We're having snacks out. It's just like it's like a person with anxiety who doesn't want to leave their house.
Yeah.
You go out a little
Yeah.
bit and then you go out a little bit more. And that's exactly what we deal with is the food anxiety. So the more we do it, the better at it we get. Not to say I ever put my guard down. It's never going to be down with her.
Of course.
It's you can't let your guard down if you have allergies. You just have to advocate for yourself and be careful. But just
Yeah.
you just having the knowledge that like people all over the world deal with food allergies, so we just have to do it. We got to go. I can't just stay here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I hear you say that and it's like it seems obvious, but I imagine when you have or your child has allergies, all you want to do is protect them, right? All you want to do is make sure that they're not going to have some severe reaction. But then you remember that there's other parents trying to do the exact same thing in all these other countries. So if that's the case, then there's resources and available to you. It's people or countries and restaurants are making it more and more. It's more and more accepted. It's more and more accessible to you. Like you said, I mean, these cards and the chefs are coming to talk to you, and there's a lot more out there to make.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always roses. You will get some pushback. Like if you're on an airplane and someone's eating, I don't know, ice cream next to you or nuts, and you're airborne reactive to nuts. I know that is a very
That's true.
real problem for people. Having the ability to like maybe bring some snacks and swap with them. You just have to work with your environment and hope that people are reasonable an airplane
That's
ride.
really true, though. I didn't even think about airborne allergens. So you could be on an airplane, and what you just have to ask, say, "I'm sorry, I have allergies. Can you please not eat that near me?"
Well, yeah. So have you ever been on an airplane where they say, we've got a nut allergy? Could you please refrain from eating nuts on this flight?
I've
Um,
never had that, honestly.
I've had a
Yeah,
couple. I've had a couple, and
interesting.
it's usually the family have said or the person has said, I have an airborne nut allergy. Can you please make sure that we're not eating nuts on this flight?
Is that something, do you know if they have to tell the airline ahead of time, or do you know if they tell them as they board?
Most people who have an airborne nut allergy will call before they book to say, is
Okay.
this safe for me? Because that's the last thing you want to do is go into anaphylactic shock on an airplane.
Yeah, and that's I mean the little, they serve the little nuts or whatever on the plane. That's a really good point. So good to know.
I'm
Well,
not a fan,
thank you.
not a fan of nut serving anywhere. I just think we can get a different snack and not be allergic to it. That'd be safe. But that's just
Yeah,
me.
especially since that one sounds like there's a lot more airborne allergens with that one with peanuts versus like say corn or something like that. I don't know.
I don't
But
know. I'm not a doctor. I just have experience.
well, I know your final thing that you had told me was that you have to be brave, but it's worth it.
Yeah, you do have to be brave. You just go for it. Is like, for me, as long as I'm prepared, if I've had ample time to prepare for our trip, I feel a lot better about walking out the door with my daughter who is allergic to dairy.
And it's a lot of work. I mean, just listening to you, it's a lot of work for parents of kids with allergies. I mean, there's a lot of preparation. It's a constant thing that you're doing. So, I mean, it's not easy for parents. So I can imagine where just being able to eat at a restaurant or an all-inclusive is a huge deal because it's like, oh my gosh, I get a night off or I get a few days off. I imagine that's a really big deal. And if you go to an all-inclusive, then at least you have a couple days of it, right? Or however long you're there, you
I
have a
think
couple days
that,
to kind of relax a
yeah,
little
you
bit.
sort of relax, but I mean, there's more
Yeah.
communication on a daily basis, more communication on a daily basis with the kitchen. Um,
Yeah.
Communicating with the kitchen is key whenever you're at a hotel.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your experiences with us. I know that a lot of parents will find this really helpful. So thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.